So glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you this Monday. Classes on hold after a colossal Alberta-wide walkout.
This could have been 100% prevented.
The onus on parents as key players clash over priorities.
So I think he's coming probably to talk about tariffs because a lot of companies are leaving Canada to come into the U.S.
Mr. Carney goes to Washington for round 2. Plus, the fan who made the luckiest catch of the day.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Well, schools are shut down in Alberta. Parents forced to stay home or find care for some 700,000 kids because 51,000 teachers are not in their classrooms today with contract talks over class size, funding and pay at an impasse in the first province-wide strike in Alberta history. CTV's Kathy Lee now on the rallies and the exploratory talks still underway. All right, Kathy, tell us what's happening.
Sandy, it's not something you see every day on a Monday in October. All of the schools, including this one right behind me, are quiet and empty. The head of the Alberta Teachers Association said this morning that they'd like a short strike as they understand the impact on teachers and families, but underscored the fact that the province's schools are in a crisis. I spoke to an Alberta mother whose daughter is on the autism spectrum. She says that there were 46 students in the classroom with only 2 aides. And because of the lack of support, she started homeschooling her child and won't consider putting her daughter back in public school until changes are made.
Teachers cannot be expected to keep up with higher class sizes and less support as time goes on and more complex kids.
Nearly 90% of Alberta Teachers Association members rejected the province's latest offer, which included a 12% wage increase over 4 years, along with funding for 3,000 new teachers and 1,500 education assistants. Teachers say it's not enough.
This could have been 100% prevented. The real job they could be doing is averting this action by meeting the demands that teachers have laid out pretty clearly.
Over the weekend, more than 20,000 Albertans gathered in Calgary and Edmonton supporting the teachers' strike. In a statement today, the province's finance minister is encouraging the union leadership to return to the bargaining table with, in his words, a reasonable proposal. During the strike, funding is available for families with children 12 and under, and resources have been made available to ensure students keep learning. Sandy.
All right, CTV's Kathy Lee in Calgary. Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith met with the Prime Minister today to discuss pipelines and nation-building projects before he left for Washington. Mark Carney will spend the night in the U.S. Capitol ahead of Tuesday's second face-to-face meeting with Donald Trump. The Prime Minister going in with an agenda: relief for tariffs on steel, aluminum, and lumber. Already, the U.S. President has commented on Mr. Carney's visit.
Well, I guess he's going to ask about tariffs because a lot of companies from Canada are moving into the United States. You know, everybody's moving back into the U.S., and he's probably going to be asking about tariffs. They're losing a lot of companies in Canada. They're coming into they left here 20 years ago.
Donald Trump gave no indication that he is willing to budge on his policies or of any specific tariffs that he is expecting to discuss. He went on to say that he's used tariffs as a tool to end 4 wars. CTV's senior political correspondent Mike LeCouture is traveling with the Prime Minister. Okay, Mike, talk to us about the wish list for Mr. Carney.
Well, Sandy, Canadian officials are cautiously optimistic that tomorrow's meeting could pave the way for some relief on steel tariffs. And politicians from both sides of the border are hoping for the same.
I'll be very blunt. You never know what comes out of a meeting with President Trump.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford is hoping for some tariff relief, but says the U.S. president will say one thing one day and then change course the next. At a gathering of governors and premiers from around the Great Lakes, Pennsylvania's Josh Shapiro said tariffs are hurting the U.S.
We're still seeing prices go way up because the president decided to push the tariff button and drive up costs on the American people. It is dangerous, the rhetoric he's engaged in. and his practices are making things cost more.
U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum remain at 50%, while Trump is increasing levies on other products like softwood lumber and wood furniture. One former special advisor on Canada-U.S. relations for then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau believes Tuesday's meeting could yield some progress.
Either because you hope that you're close to an agreement and you would like to push it over the finish line with a signature moment and a handshake and an opportunity, or to push forward on something that's stalled or slowed.
Expectations are high from opposition leader Pierre Poilievre. In a letter to the Prime Minister, the Conservative leader demanded Carney keep his campaign promise to negotiate a win, including the removal of all tariffs on Canadian goods. A White House spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, says trade will be one of many issues discussed between Carney and Trump when they meet in the Oval Office. Sandy?
Thank you, Mike. Let's bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vassy Kapelis. And Vassy, you know, I read somewhere today that many think that this is a large and risky job ahead for the Prime Minister. So give us some context for us. What's at stake in this key meeting with an unpredictable president?
Well, I think there is a ton at stake for Canada and its economy because things could always get worse, right? As you've heard from the federal government and the Prime Minister himself on multiple instances, CUSMA, or the USMCA, the free trade agreement we have with the United States, still covers the bulk of our trade. If any part of that were to be altered or removed, you would see a massive, much more pronounced impact on Canada's economy in the aggregate. Right now, the damage is still significant, though, and it is primarily on sectors that Mike referenced, like steel, aluminum, and autos. A so-called win coming out of this would involve one of those sectors. But even that, if you think back to a year ago, would we be hoping for 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum? Literally, that's the place we're in because so many other countries have capitulated to the degree they have. And the capitulation part of this is something to watch when it comes to the politics of all of this, because the pressure is on the Prime Minister to not give up more, not cede more, if there isn't anything given in return.
Okay, you hinted at a possible win. So what would be realistically a win for Canada to walk away with at this stage?
Well, I'm somewhat confused by some of the communication around this because, you know, to some outlets they're saying don't expect anything. To others, it looks like some reduction in steel and aluminum tariffs. I think the primary objective is to get those tariffs on those sectors reduced or eliminated, but there is no sign coming from the White House that that will most definitely be the case. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. Sandy.
We sure will. Okay, Vassy, thank you. Now, in the meantime, Donald Trump keeps piling on new tariffs, and today he announced one on trucks, saying it's to keep out foreign competition. Beginning November the 1st, all medium and heavy-duty trucks coming into the U.S. from other countries will be tariffed at the rate of 25%. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce says Canada is among the top 5 exporters of trucks into the U.S., although Mexico is the largest. Under the current CUSMA deal, those trucks move tariff-free if at least 64% of their parts are from North America. And there's Canada's lumber industry having to deal with the pain of tariff on tariff. A 10% hike on an existing 35% tariff, plus a brand new 25% tax on finished wood products. CTV's Sarah Plowman spoke to a cabinet maker in Shediac, New Brunswick, about the hit to business. Okay, Sarah.
Sandy, 20% of the cabinets of the vanities made here at Glenwood Kitchen go to stores in the U.S. And the threat of these tariffs means that U.S. customers have already called to cancel, to put some orders on hold. And the company says that if these tariffs go ahead, they're concerned that they have to look for customers elsewhere in order to protect their own employees. They say that they're concerned that in a few months, U.S. business could just dry up.
It's frustrating that you, for 40 years, you worked on something, you developed some friends, relationships, long-term partners, selling your product. It's been great, and then all of a sudden, in 3 months from now, that could be wiped away.
People here will be watching the Prime Minister's visit in Washington closely, hoping that somehow an agreement could be reached, somehow that these tariffs won't go ahead as they're expected to on October 14th. Now, the tariff, the 25% tariff on furniture and cabinets, is new. It's also set to go up more next year. But this is also in addition to a 10% tariff on softwood lumber and timber, countervailing in anti-dumping duties on softwood lumber. Now, in a province where the forestry sector is vital, Premier Holt has sent a letter to the Prime Minister urging him to make this, coming up with a solution, a top priority. Sandy.
Okay, CTV's Sarah Plowman. Thanks, Sarah. There is cautious hope for a ceasefire in Gaza as Israel and Hamas enter indirect negotiations in Egypt, encouraged by the U.S. president. The critical talks coming the day before the 2-year anniversary of the Hamas-led massacre, the worst terror attack on Jews since the Holocaust. CTV's Abigail Beeman is with us now. Okay, Abigail, where do peace talks stand at this point right now?
Well, Sandy, those indirect talks are now underway in the Egyptian resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh to discuss details of U.S. President Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan. Mediators from the United States, Egypt, and Qatar are there working on the deal. Indirect talks means representatives from Hamas and Israel are both there, but not in the same room, using the mediator help as intermediaries. The White House described what's happening now as technical talks, and the president said there's been tremendous progress.
I think Hamas now has been, all I can say is they've been fine. They've been fine. I hope it's going to continue that way. I think it will. I really think we're going to have a deal. We have a really good chance of making a deal, and it'll be a lasting deal. We want to have peace. This is beyond Gaza. Gaza is a big deal, but this is really peace in the Middle East.
But there is no update yet on some of the sticking points, including the demand for Hamas to disarm. Hamas has not mentioned that, causing speculation it's not prepared to do it. And there are questions around whether releasing all remaining hostages of the 48, 20 are believed to be alive within Trump's 72-hour deadline will be possible.
And with all of this, Abigail, there does seem to be a larger sense of optimism than we've seen in the past 2 years. How do you explain that?
Well, there are a few reasons. For one, Washington says the two sides have never been closer, while analysts say an American president has never spoken so plainly to an Israeli prime minister, do this or our support is in question. There's also the timing and its impacts politically on Benjamin Netanyahu facing a war-weary population. We are on the eve of the 2-year anniversary of Hamas's October 7th massacre that launched this war. Sandy?
CTV's Abigail Beeman. Well, a Donald Trump-appointed federal judge has temporarily blocked the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon. Over the weekend, protesters outside an immigration detention facility were met with tear gas and pepper spray. Trump says those clashes justify deploying the National Guard to protect federal agents. The judge disagreed. A similar situation is taking place in Chicago.
Past week revealed the true face of the administration's immigration enforcement in our city, and the entire world was able to witness that.
Chicago and the state of Illinois are suing the Trump administration over the deployment of troops in the city. Donald Trump authorized sending 300 National Guard troops to Chicago over protests against ICE agents. Coming up after the break, a split from tradition.
Are you guys going to be cooking the books?
Why critics say it just doesn't add up. With the November 4th budget 4 weeks away, the announcement today of a shift in tradition. Ottawa is changing the budget cycle and how it calculates expenditures. Liberals say this provides more transparency. Critics say it's a move to downplay increasing debt. CTV's Judy Trin on the change, the thinking behind it, and the implications. Hey, Judy.
Sandy, it's been 18 months since we've seen a federal budget. Now the finance minister says that from now on, all budgets will be delivered in the fall, not the spring. In a break with long-standing practice, the finance minister says all future budgets will come down in the fall, enabling the government to get transfer payments out earlier in the fiscal year.
It's also going to provide more predictability, I would say, for provinces and territories. I've been talking to them, businesses and organizations that rely on federal funding.
The Liberals are also changing the budget framework to separate day-to-day spending from capital investments. Operational day-to-day costs include health and social transfers and government salaries, while capital investments encompass spending on major projects, housing, clean energy, and infrastructure.
When will the budget be balanced?
At the Finance Committee, the opposition slammed the minister for budget changes that don't add up.
Debt is still debt at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how many columns you try to present in front of Canadians and try to trick them. Are you guys going to be cooking the books?
It's irresponsible for a member of parliament to use language like that. I will say that. It's irresponsible.
The changes come after the interim parliamentary budget officer estimated that Canada's deficit will grow to $68.7 billion this year. Some economists say clearly showing how much the government is spending on capital investment is important.
What are we using debt finance for? Is it for, for capital investment, in terms that will be there for decades, or is it for current consumption?
The finance minister says he'll balance the operational budget in 3 years. For more details, Francois-Philippe Champagne says we'll have to wait until November 4th when he delivers the budget. Sandy.
Okay, thanks, Judy. And as we head to break, Canadian rock legends Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson are reuniting to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the rock band Rush. The upcoming tour will be dedicated to the memory of late bandmate and drummer Neil Peart, who died in 2020. The 50-something tour kicks off in June at the Kia Forum. The tour's only Canadian stop is in Toronto with 2 shows in August. Rescue crews are scrambling to help hundreds of hikers trapped by heavy snow on Mount Everest, a little more than halfway up the world's highest mountain.
It's very much just a waiting game. They've been snowed in to ensure that they're in that while they're waiting, they do so in a safe area where the avalanche risk is low.
Adventure seekers were stranded at tourist campsites after a blizzard struck the Himalayas. Many have already been guided to safety by rescue crews. Now, no snow in Ontario for sure, where over the past few days temperatures have been more July-like than October. It's not considered record-breaking, but it certainly calls for breaking out the sunscreen. CTV's John Valley Rao in Toronto now, set out to catch people basking in the sunshine. John.
Sandy, this stretch of October sun and heat has been extraordinary. Usually a week before Thanksgiving, this is what we're used to seeing. Spectacular fall colors as temperatures cool off. But there was Joe Cassano this afternoon, retired and thrilled to be at the beach on a fall day that felt like the dead of summer.
I don't know what's happening, if the earth is tilting or something, but we're getting warmer weather in this time of the year when all the leaves should be falling off the trees. They're still green.
In Toronto, the temperature a dozen degrees above normal. You're in a bathing suit. It's October the 6th.
It is. Like, this weather, it's a blessing in October. It's crazy.
It comes after a weekend. That's how the Blue Jays play in what the Weather Network called the warmest day ever for a baseball playoff game in Toronto. Some fans baking in temperatures in the high 20s. While out on the greens, those who love golf enjoying every minute of it. On Sunday, in some places, record highs going back more than a century were smashed.
In some cases, especially in northeastern Ontario and parts of eastern Ontario, we've been breaking these records by 4, 5, 6 degrees, which is pretty incredible.
Today in Toronto and Ottawa, the Humidex was again above 30, and in Fredericton reaching 33, almost 20 degrees above the normal high.
We've had a big area of high pressure off the eastern seaboard of the U.S., acting as a big heat pump, bringing up air from the American deep south.
With Ottawa breaking records 2 days in a row, and some having a ball with it.
I'm hoping that we have more days like this.
A cool down is expected tomorrow, but for much of the country, the long-range October-November forecast is for more above normal temperatures.
Wow.
Sandy.
Okay, John, thanks. Hot days, bright nights, especially tonight, courtesy of the largest and brightest full moon so far this year. Tonight's harvest moon will double as the first supermoon of 2025, and it means Earth's satellite is about as close to the planet as it gets. A harvest moon occurs nearest the autumn equinox, which helped farmers during the crucial harvest season before someone invented electricity. Hockey superstar Conor McDavid is staying in Edmonton.
When you see Conor's, it's obvious what he wants, which is he wants to win, and his actions have shown that. I think that's a pretty inspiring thing for a player to see.
The Oilers captain has signed a 2-year contract extension worth around $12.5 million US a season. McDavid was set to become an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year with the end of his current 8-year, $100 million deal with the team. Okay, Canada's boys of summer, they are off to a strong start. The Toronto Blue Jays now just one win away from advancing to the American League Championship Series after back-to-back blowout wins against the New York Yankees. CTV's Alison Hurst now on the breakout Stars.
Deep left field. It is a grand slam.
A moment in Blue Jays franchise history. Caught in the stands by Brendan Craig, barehanded, overhead, in the second deck.
Instincts took over, and I played ball my whole life, so all those years of practicing and playing, they finally paid off.
Craig and his wife bought their tickets on Facebook Marketplace to catch the game.
Funny enough, the person who I bought the tickets off, his pitch to sell them was good spot for a Vladdy bomb.
The seats lived up to the promise, made sweeter by it also being the first Grand Slam in postseason franchise history. But the history-making didn't stop there.
6 Ks through 2 2/3.
Rookie pitcher Trey Yesavage took the mound in his first ever postseason start.
He's built for this game. It's awesome.
Setting a franchise record 11 strikeouts in a no-hit postseason game, and he did it in just 5 innings.
What a nice young man that very pleased the way he's handling the situation.
Yesavage felt the support at the mound.
The energy and the passion that this fan base has, and all 44,000 people that were here tonight, is special.
With the way the entire team played this weekend,
Now Varsho drills one.
fans are feeling pretty confident heading to the Bronx.
3-0 and keep going up to the World Series.
The team is so good this year. I think they're gonna go just up till they win.
Optimistic but not cocky. So I think we can get this series, but it's one game at a time.
Craig will be watching, Grand Slam ball in hand, but what he's going to do with it?
I don't really know, don't have a plan yet. If they're interested in it, I'd be happy to talk with them and get it back, because it's a pretty historic ball.
In an historic series that's not over yet. Alison Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Thank you for sharing your time with us this Monday. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Your local CTV News is coming up. Bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow, we hope. Don't forget to catch Omar later tonight at 11. Bye for now.